the Supreme Court has reached a verdict on what are called Sharia courts, often described as parallel courts that critics say should have no place in a secular country. Well, the Supreme Court today has said that fatwas or decrees that are delivered by these Sharia courts, often at the local level, have no legal enforceability. They are not legally binding and they cannot be imposed using coercion. The court has also made it clear that any individual is free to challenge the order of this fatwa or decree or the decision of a qazi by taking it to, of course, the civil court. But the court has stopped short of banning either fatwas or qazis and their decisions. Let's introduce our guest tonight. Is this a fair, reasonable verdict? Or is this a verdict that actually reopens a much larger debate on whether there is now need for a uniform civil code, with many personal laws being especially unfriendly to women, many fatwas being especially unfriendly to women? Let's introduce our panel this evening. We're joined by Kamal Farooqi. He's, of course, a member with the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. With me in the studio is Sadia Dehelvi, writer and activist. And joining us from Patna today is Maulana Anis Ur Rahman, and we will get, in a sense, a religious perspective from him as well. Farooqi Saab, I would like to start with you. Would you welcome this verdict? The verdict, of course, does not ban Sharia courts, but it makes it very clear that they have absolutely no legal binding at all.
I am happy that you are saying that it has not banned and it cannot ban, because it will infringe my fundamental right under Article 25 and 26. And Supreme Court is absolutely right in saying that it is to the individual. If they are not satisfied with the decision of the Darul Qaza, they can go to the court. And there are a lot of cases in Bihar wherein the people go to the court. But that is also a fact that the many cases which have gone there in the court, they have accepted what actually the Darul Qaza has decided in the Imarat Sharia. But as far as the fatwas are concerned, Supreme Court is absolutely right in saying this. It is not binding. It is just a legal opinion, and legal opinion can be accepted by a particular person or not.
No, it's not a legal opinion. Farooqi Saab, it is not a legal opinion. The court has made it clear it is not a legal opinion. It is like going for dispute resolution to somebody, to an elder in the neighborhood. Now, some have drawn parallels between these Sharia courts and the Khap Panchayats, that exist in Haryana.
No, Barkha.
Yes.
Barkha, you are confusing two things. In fact, there are two institutions. One is Darul Qaza,
yes,
which is in fact decides if the two parties go to the that Darul Qaza and ask for the settlement, like the arbitration agreement, and that is applicable whether it is you call it panchayat, whether you call it arbitration, whether you call it out of court settlement, this is applicable. And if both the parties agree to this decision, it is even respected by the court, unless it is being done fraudulently. Another thing, as far as the fatwas are concerned, fatwas are simply an opinion. You can ask for a fatwa whether this is according to Islam correct or not. This will not be binding on anybody. If it is for the Muslim only, if he wants to buy that argument,
but you know, I have to interrupt here. I have to interrupt here, and we'll just get Maulana Rahman in a minute. But Sadia, if you look at the kind of fatwas that we have seen in the past, there are a number of liberal voices who may not be absolutely happy with the Supreme Court verdict, because look at some of the fatwas we've seen in the past. Now, it's all very well for the court to say that these are not legally enforceable, but the fact is
that is even in the spirit of the Muslim tradition, they're not legally enforceable. Like Mr. Farooqi said, they are opinions.
My point is somewhat different. In Jammu and Kashmir, there was a fatwa issued against an all-girls music band. Now, you can say it's not legally enforceable, but it did put pressure on those women to retreat from what they love doing. Previously, the Deobandis have had a fatwa against photography. I mean, some of these are really absurd. I'm going through them.
I'm sorry to say, but the level of Islamic scholarship has gone down. And earlier in the Prophet's time, I mean, there were 1,24,000 of the Prophet's companions, but very, very few, just a handful actually issued fatwas, because it requires a great scholarship, restraint, reflection, caution.
Haven't they become commonplace?
Yes, and we have been seeing, especially from Deoband, we've been seeing, the fatwas in Sharia basically came to preserve, to protect the dignity of women, to honor them, to honor life and property, to protect them. But yes, we have seen, unfortunately, particularly in India, this, you know, wave of shower of fatwas which have not been gender sensitive, and they have been particularly damaging to women. I definitely agree with you on that.
There's one here which says that women are not allowed to travel alone beyond 48 miles. So, you know, everybody has a take, and these are absolutely anti-women quite often.
But, you know, even traditionally, if you look at burqa, there were, you know, the Sharia and fatwas have changed. Like when the loudspeakers were introduced, they were considered anti-Islamic. When the Quran was first printed, it was considered, there were fatwas that it was anti-Islamic. So the legal rulings have evolved over the years. I mean, they have been, you know, put into context, and I think to have this, you know, reign of fatwas against women is really requires a lot of debate and understanding and caution and restraint.
So would you have wanted to see a ban instead?
I'm not saying you can't ban a fatwa, because, you know, you need opinion. Supposing, you know, you could even need an opinion. I mean, I have a friend who just asked me to check if going to Hajj on a credit card was all right. So these are smaller issues which you do need religious
but, you know,
opinion.
we need to delve deeper into this, because there are those, Kamal Farooqi Saab, who would say that these courts, these parallel courts or these parallel opinions should have no place in a secular country. But let's just park that and get Maulana Rahman's opinion. Maulana Saab, आप क्या कहेंगे? आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक तरह से एक फैसला दिया है और उन्होंने कहा है कि ये बिल्कुल लीगली बाइंडिंग नहीं है, किसी का जबरदस्ती नहीं हो सकता, और उन्होंने ये भी एक बहुत अहम बात रखी है कि अगर मेरी और आपकी लड़ाई है तो हम काजी साहब के पास जा सकते हैं, लेकिन कोई तीसरा जना ना जाए, जो कि बहुत अक्सर होता है, गांव में होता है कि कोई गांव का बुजुर्ग फैसला कर लेगा कि भाई चलो हम चले जाते हैं काजी साहब के बाद किसी और की शादी पर फैसला करने के लिए। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट कह रही है
बरखा कभी नहीं हो सकता ये,
क्या कह रहे हैं?
कभी नहीं हो सकता ये, बरखा कभी नहीं हो सकता ये।
क्या नहीं हो सकता?
इट इज एब्सोल्यूट, यही तो मैं कह रहा हूं, दिस इज सिंपली एन इमेजिनेशन. If this is a dispute between two parties, only those two parties have to go. But nobody can go on their behalf.
But you know,
nobody can go on their behalf.
Farooqi Saab, I'm just going to take this to Maulana Rahman Saab, but we have enough examples.
Yes.
आप याद करिए गुड़िया का case, you know, where her husband returned suddenly. He was a missing soldier. He comes back from Kargil. She has moved on. She's pregnant. She's married to somebody else, and the decision taken by the Qazi is that she must return to her previous husband. Now, there is the Imrana case, which is named in the petition, is that a woman who was raped by her father-in-law was asked to leave her husband and marry him. ये तो बिल्कुल एक तरह से मिसयूज हुआ, और बहुत से लोग कहेंगे एक सेक्युलर देश में इस तरह की पैरेलल कोर्ट, इसको कैंगरू कोर्ट भी कहा जा सकता है। ये काजी का कोर्ट नहीं, ये कैंगरू कोर्ट है।
You raised two issues, and both these issues, unfortunately, they were not decided by Darul Qaza at all. Please, Munazir, check your record. It was not decided. What had happened in case of Imrana? One stupid person who was bearing a dadi and who was a cap. The people went over there and asked his opinion, and he gave a fatwa kind of thing. And it was in Muzaffarnagar, it was shown as if it's a fatwa. It was not a fatwa at all. It was his opinion, who was not entitled to give that kind of. Same is the case of the Gudiya, in fact. The opinion should have been asked, and that opinion, as far as Imrana case is concerned or Gudiya case is concerned, there could be merit in it, both way. But
what is the merit? No, one minute. What is the merit? There is a woman whose husband has been missing for several years. She has moved on. She has moved on with somebody else, presuming he is not coming back. She is now pregnant with another man's child. Surely it is her decision which man she wants to be with, not the Qazi's decision. Not the Qazi's decision.
No, I am not in a position to discuss all these things right now. I am talking, it was not decided by Qazi at all. So that is what I am trying to correct.
Then
you.
Who was it decided by?
It was a kind of fatwa by anybody. That's a problem. Fatwa can be given only by Darul Ifta. That too can have a discussion, as Sadia very rightly said. The scholarship has gone down. The people may not be having that kind of understanding. So it is not binding.
But even in the Muslim traditions, you have so many various schools. I mean, there's the Jafariya, which is the Shia jurisprudence. Then you have the Hanafi, and then you have the Hanbali, and the Shafi'i, and the Maliki. So there are various schools of jurisprudence, and so, you know, if you believe in one, you're supposed to go in one. But if they're not happy with one, they go to another for another fatwa. And in the end of the day, at least we're living in India, let's put this contextualize this within our secular fabric, and that is that if you're not happy, there is always the other option. And you know, and this and these are normally just in terms of property, in terms of how much money, you know, and what to pay zakat, not to pay zakat.
What do you make, Sadia, of the Imrana example, which is in this petition today,
I think it's shocking.
Where a woman has been asked to leave her husband to marry her father-in-law who has raped her?
I think it's a straight criminal case, and I think most Muslims would agree with that. And I don't think
so. You're saying the Qazi or the Mufti should not have got involved at all?
Of course they shouldn't. It's a straight criminal case.
Kamal Farooqi, would you agree that it's a straight criminal case and there was no reason for religious involvement?
Yeah.
So then why are these...
Absolutely, and it was not given. It was not given by a competent person at all. So why should I bother about that? Anybody can give this kind of assessment.
Because it actually impacts the lives of people who listen to these things. They come under pressure. You know, you can sit here and say that you can sit here and say this person is not learned enough for me to take seriously.
Barkha, why do you go to an individual who doesn't know the law at all? If you go ask a civil court lawyer to ask about the criminal law.
Barkha has a point. I mean, these things do happen in the smaller towns and villages. There is public pressure, there are wrong interpretations, there are the Maulvis who are very anti-women. So yes, you know, we do need enlightened narratives. We need, you know,
do you accept that there's a parallel between the Khap Panchayat and
at some level,
the
maybe at some level, if you know, the Imrana level, definitely, you know, they're just using social pressure and giving, you know, forcing a woman to do something, but yes, but otherwise no. Otherwise, you know, seeking a legal opinion is very much part of the Muslim tradition and has been for 1400 years, and it will continue to be. But like I said, people who don't want that option always have the Indian legal system. If they are unhappy, they can always challenge that.
I just want to take last comments and make another attempt to try and get Maulana Rehman. Kasmi साहब, इसमें आप क्या बोलेंगे जो लोग कहते हैं कि सेक्युलर देश में शरिया कोर्ट होना ही नहीं चाहिए? अगर ये लीगल इसकी इन्फोर्सेबिलिटी नहीं है तो ये मौजूद क्यों है?
भाई देखिए, किसी चीज़ की एक है कानूनी हैसियत में जायज़ होना। जैसे कि हम देखते हैं कि स्कूलों में सरकारी स्कूल भी हैं, प्राइवेट स्कूल भी हैं। तो ये तो नहीं कहा जा सकता कि प्राइवेट स्कूलों की मंजूरी, मान्यता उस तरह की नहीं है जैसे सरकारी स्कूलों की, तो उनको बंद कर दिया जाए। इसी तरह आपसी झगड़ों के दूर करने के लिए समाज में कई सिस्टम है, जैसे लोक अदालतें हैं, पंचायत एक्ट है, आर्बिट्रेशन एक्ट है। तो हमारा जो दारुल क़ज़ा का फैसला होता है वो आर्बिट्रेशन एक्ट के तहत होता है,
लेकिन मैं आपसे
जिसमें दो फरीक आते हैं
जी
और ये बाउंड बनाते हैं कि हमारे इस झगड़े का आप फैसला कर दें।
लेकिन मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी,
इसीलिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इस पर पाबंदी नहीं लगाई है।
नहीं, पाबंदी नहीं लगाई है, लेकिन ये भी कहा है कि इसका कोई कानूनी वैल्यू नहीं है, इसका कोई लीगल वैल्यू नहीं है, ये बिल्कुल इन्फोर्स नहीं हो सकता, ये कुछ जबरदस्ती के साथ नहीं इन्फोर्स हो सकता।
कानूनी वैल्यू का मतलब यह है कि सरकार ने इसको मान्यता नहीं दी है।
जी,
जब सरकार ने मान्यता नहीं दी है तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि जो इसके फैसले हैं सरकार ने उस पर कोई पाबंदी लगाई।
पर मैं यही तो कह रही हूँ कासमी साहब, दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम। द प्रॉब्लम इज कि आपके फतवा देखिए किस तरह के आ रहे हैं। फतवा अगेंस्ट फोटोग्राफी, फतवा अगेंस्ट विमेन वेयरिंग जीन्स, फतवा फैसला कर रहे हैं कि कौन सी औरत की औरत किस आदमी के साथ रहेगी, किसका निकाह बना रह सकता है और किसका टूटेगा। ये लोगों को खुद फैसले करने चाहिए ना।
I think these are very stray incidents, Barkha. They're not. Yes, they're played up a lot, but they shouldn't have happened.
जो जानकार नहीं है, वो अपने से जानकार जो भी है उससे राय लेता है। जैसे हम कानून के जानकार नहीं हैं तो किसी एक्सपर्ट से, किसी वकील से हम लीगल ओपिनियन लेते हैं। बिल्कुल यही बात फतवे की है कि हमारे समाज का कोई शख्स अपने प्रॉब्लम में वो शरई ओपिनियन लेता है मुफ्ती से। ये मुफ्ती का जो ओपिनियन फतवा होता है उस शख्स के लिए पाबंदी नहीं होती है।
I think the Maulana gives it away when he says that just because the government or the courts don't recognize its legal sanctity doesn't mean that the people see it that way. And that's exactly my point, that people's lives can actually change on the basis of these decrees. And you take these young girls who make music in Jammu and Kashmir. You have a fatwa from the so-called Grand Mufti and it does create pressure.
I don't know who made him the Grand Mufti or where the title came from.
Which is another ongoing debate. But kahin pe fatwa aa jata है that women should not wear jeans. Most most of the times the women are at the receiving end.
See,
of this
I
kind of
see
nonsense.
even these courts, I see their role as, you know, supposing there's a small property dispute within the family, and you want to know according to the Sharia what really goes where, how much to the daughter, how much to the wife, how much to, you know, the grandchildren or whatever. And rather than going, you know, don't forget we have a very flawed judicial system where it takes years and years and years and a lot of money. So sometimes if you really want to resolve a small property dispute,
would you as a modern woman want the Sharia system to continue, the Qazi system to continue?
well, it has to at one level, yes.
Why does it have to? Why does it have to?
Because I don't want to waste my time in courts every time I want a legal opinion. I mean, you know, when one has got married through,
for example, your
through
friend
a nikah,
for your friend who wants to know the credit card le jana hai.
Yeah, because there is an issue, because you're not supposed to use, you know, a qarza, so interest. You know, to go for Hajj, but because this is an issue of modernity and it's thrown up a new question, sometimes they say that it's all right because if you're using it to live your daily life, it's all right. So sometimes you want to check on smaller things which you can't go to the Supreme Court for.
But Kamal Farooqi, the fact of the matter is that I will ask you this. You heard the Maulana. He's saying that, you know, people take these decrees seriously even if the court doesn't. And isn't that the problem? Because it's one thing for the Qazi in a localized area to settle some property dispute, right? Or to create some reconciliation. It's another thing for the Qazi to be taking decisions on what women should wear, on who they should marry, on who they should not marry. I mean, on whether they should stay with their rapist. These are
we need
violations of fundamental rights.
We need to create an awareness that you don't need to go to a mufti for that.
Barka, as Sadia very rightly said, in fact, we do need, when we know that crores of the cases are pending here and there, and if there is a settlement, yes, Darul Qaza played a very important role, and you are talking about fatwas. I am sorry, you have mentioned so many fatwas which was not given by the authorized people, in fact, and they have been made the public exposure. But you have not mentioned one great fatwa which all the masaliks, all the religious people in the country passed against terrorism. Why don't you appreciate that also? In one voice that say that terrorism has got no place in Islam and he can be anybody but a Muslim. Why don't you appreciate that all those ulamas passed such a great fatwa?
Because Farooqi Saab, the potential for misuse, especially against women by the religious orthodoxy, is very serious. We must be aware of that reality. And it is serious, by the way, it is serious in all faiths. The orthodoxy, the conservatives,
all religions are exploiting.
All religions are exploiting
because of male narratives.
Now, I have to ask the last comments from both of you, and I'll ask Kamal Farooqi first. The debate around the Uniform Civil Code, the essential debate that this will reopen is what place a Qazi or a Mufti should have beyond these personal disputes in a secular society. You can't have a Sharia court, so to speak, because it has no legal binding. This very term Sharia court is actually a false term because the Supreme Court has said that these decrees have no legal binding.
Barka.
Yes.
Barka, with due respect, I have not used this court. You are using it. Is it Darul Qaza? Darul Qaza means a place wherein the justice is there.
I've never heard of a Sharia court either.
I don't know. Yeah, this is you are saying. I am not saying. Sharia court, it is not a parallel court at all. It is the friend of the court, in fact, who is helping the cases which could have been otherwise settled instead of going to the court.
Would you at least say, Sadia, I have to end now, but would you at least say that there's certain areas that the Qazi should really not be poking his nose into, like people's marriages to start with?
Well, marriage is because you're getting married by Islamic law. So yes, you know, there are issues that sometimes you have to refer to a mufti. You know, whether especially when it comes to divorce, you know, because there are different traditions of divorce.
That's another criticism, the fact that people have started divorcing women on the telephone, by saying
there are different traditions. So, you know, it really depends. It's a very complicated process.
My question is, with the debate around the Uniform Civil Code. Yes, Kamal.
I just want to make one last comment, and that is that basically throughout history, Islamic scholars have said to avoid getting into the nitty-gritty of the Sharia because it takes away from the spiritual dimension of Islam. So, you know, the legal verses in the Quran are actually very, very few. Less than 1/4 of the entire verses are really about legalities.
So you're saying that the importance of the Sharia has been overstated?
No, the importance of the Sharia exists, but you know, to get into the nitty-gritty of it is probably That's why the Sufis have never got into the nitty-gritty of the Sharia.
But Farooqi Saab, shouldn't, for any citizen, shouldn't the constitution be the ultimate, not the Sharia? There has to be a point of reference in the Supreme Court.
For heaven's sake,
please understand that that is the debate.
It's a very invalid question. I'll tell you.
Why?
I'll tell you, Barkha, please listen to me. Because you have asked
a question.
No.
Because when we debate the Uniform Civil Code,
Barkha, let me answer this question. This is very crucial.
Whether when it comes to fundamental rights, there has to be a universal code that all faiths accept. You cannot violate fundamental rights in the name of religion.
Please understand one thing. My constitution has given me the fundamental right under Article 25 and 26 to follow my religion and to make my religious affair properly.
So that is, I am not going. But your directive principle.
Yes, I am not going to leave it come what may. I am not going to leave it come what may.
Okay, yes. But Farooqi Saab, your same constitution also has a directive principle that says there should ideally be a uniform civil code. I am asking you about that. Where does that reconcile with the Sharia?
No, it is not should. No. Actually, as far as the Sharia, let us come out. What is the common civil code? Common civil code means the Hindu law or the Muslim law or the Christian law, which will be applicable to all the Hindus together. Or what actually is this? This is, in fact, when you talk about uniform civil code, as if it is only the Muslims which are going to be affected.
No, of course not. I said in the beginning that I said in the beginning, sir. I said in the beginning that every faith's orthodoxy is actually antithetical to the interests of women. We'll have to leave it there. But Sadia, just the last comment.
I don't agree with this.
I am saying हर faith का जो conservatives होते हैं वो औरतों के खिलाफ ही होते हैं.
ये बात तो सही है.
But very quickly, is it time to debate the Uniform Civil Code seriously? Because somewhere
we can debate it, but I'll tell you one thing, because at the moment there is so much polarization, and the Muslims are very, very skeptical of the BJP, and they would not say, oh, why are you interested in us suddenly in protecting our women, or, you know, when our lives and properties are not safe. So I think it's too fragile issue right now to even start debating
well, what you said is the opening for a brand new debate, but I'll have to leave it there. Sadia
It's a very fragile environment.
Kawal Farooqi, Maulana Rehman, thanks so much for joining us on the Buck Stops here.